The name of your new parish is St. Maximilian Kolbe. People are going to say Kolbe, but we don't say that in Polish. The original way to say it is Maximilian Kolbe. Maximilian is not his real name. He was a Franciscan, and he went into the monastery, the friary rather, and in those days they changed their names. So he took the name Maximilian. His real name is Raymond Kolbe. It's a beautiful little story. He was a rambunctious little child, and his mother had a lot of trouble with him. So at one point, she grabbed him when he was 10 years old, and she said, "What is going to become of you, Raymond?" And he didn't answer. But he went out into the field, because they owned the farm, and he had a vision of Our Blessed Lady. And in the vision, she offered him 2 crowns, one white and one red. And she said, "Which do you want, the martyr's crown or the white crown?" He said, "I'll take both." So he took both. Came in to become a priest and was very, very devoted to Mary Immaculate, not to the Częstochowa. I'm sure he had a devotion to Częstochowa, but that wasn't his particular thing. He was very devoted to Mary Immaculate. This is why he has a medal on his chest of the Immaculate Conception here. I was in where his friary was a couple of times in Poland, just outside of Warsaw. I said Mass on the altar where he said Mass, and walked through the door, the threshold, where the Nazis took him. And I stood there in that threshold because all the brothers were there watching the Nazis taking him away to the camp. And I stood there because it was at that moment when he had one Nazi on one arm and one on the other, and they were forcing him, and he said to the Nazis, "Wait a minute." And he turned back to all the brothers and the priests, and he said, "Forget not love." That's the title of a book now that you can buy called Forget Not Love. And of course, he went into the concentration camp in Auschwitz. In the real name of Auschwitz, it sounds the German, I'm going to give it to you in Polish, is Oświęcim, and the Germans pronounce it Auschwitz. And I was in Auschwitz about 2 or 3 times, and in the cell where he lost his life, there was a man that had escaped, and the Germans, the Nazis, had everybody out and were forcing them to go to the starvation bunk. And one man, Franciszek Gajowniczek, he came forward, they picked him, and he pleaded with them, "Please, please." He said, "Don't send me. I just got married. I have 2 boys." He said, "Please don't send me." And they said, "Go." And he said, no. He pleaded with them. And Maximilian stepped out, and he said, "Take me." And they said to him, "You know, the Nazis never called the Polish anything. They had a name for the Polish. They called them pigs. And so when they addressed him, they said, 'And who are you, pig?' And he never said, 'I'm Maximilian Kolbe.' He said, 'I'm a Roman Catholic priest.' He never identified himself by his name. He said, 'I'm a Roman Catholic priest.' And they said, 'Good, because you know, in Austria they had Mauthausen, which was the place where priests and nuns went to die in the concentration camp. So if the Nazis found priests, they hated the Catholic Church. Of course, Hitler was a Catholic. He was raised in Austria. But there are a lot of things about him that were kind of things that you would think that he was part of it, you know. But anyway, they hated the Catholics. They got rid of the Catholics. They didn't like the church because the church was very powerful. And they gave him this jacket. This is his number, 16670. That is his number. They sent him to the concentration camp in where the starvation was. And you go in there now, you see all the cells there. He was the last one to die of all the 10 of them. He just wouldn't die. They starved him. And in his cell, he could sit on the floor on hay, and you could see the firing wall. And every day he had to watch the people with their faces to the wall and be shot in the back of the head. They would give them a small ration of bread, And what he did is he took the bread and he made it into a rosary. He never ate. They injected him, he was the last one to be killed. They injected him with carbolic acid, which means that he met his death immediately in the carbolic acid when it was injected into him. But he drove the officer there absolutely nuts because he had everybody, they were all Polish, and he had everybody singing hymns in Polish to the Blessed Mother and to the Blessed Sacrament, to the point, now the officer there that watched him, his name was Fritz, and he finally got so angry, he banged his hand, he says, "Stop singing!" And they wouldn't stop singing. And even Maximilian, who was the last one left, was still singing. But you know something, people? When our Lord went to death, he sang at the Last Supper because he came to redeem us. And it didn't make a difference if he hung on a cross. He came to redeem us. And that was the point for him to sing. Maximilian wanted to start in every country in the world a city of the Immaculate Conception. But because of his health, he was only able to start one in Japan and one in Poland. In Poland, the name of the city is Niepokalanów, which means immaculate. You know, and the whole word in Polish is Niepokalanów Poczęcia. That's conception. But Niepokalanów is the city of the Immaculate, is what they call it. And this is the name of the three churches that are coming together right now: St. Casimir, Immaculate Conception, and St. Thomas in Thomaston. And I think that Archbishop Blair did a wonderful decision to name this Maximilian Kolbe. May he and his prayers pray for all of you.